you would have to look at it from the perspective of what must have triggered this thing in the first place. I'm always all about root causes and reactions or responses, because you can't keep looking at this woman, you think she has it all together, but something must have triggered this thing, and you do not, thrive on somebody's misfortune.
It's crazy.
You do not know what must have caused this in the first place. You do not have the background. Yes, she's going through this. Did it occur to you that she didn't need it to be public in the first place?
And I'm sure that is why they had to even come up with this video, because there were so many allegations. She's hospitalized, she's
on drugs,
so there's so many things. So she had to come out. I was going to say, because you made a very strong, and I want to throw that to Norma, because again, people just feel like you're a strong person.
Yes,
right?
You should be strong.
You should be strong automatically. Why do people always feel like that? It's not everybody that has the capacity or the tenacity, like you said, to absorb a lot of things, right? Yes. I used to think I was strong until I said, because I didn't know how emotionally damaged I had gotten to, until I had to slow down and tell myself, wow, you are not. You understand? I took a break. Because again, people just come up with all sorts of things because they feel like you can handle it.
And they're pretending because they have their own drama and their own issues that they are not even acknowledging, or they don't even know exist.
Totally.
I was quiet, literally listening to everybody, because this is a very sensitive conversation to have. In one way or the other, each and every one of us may have gone through one mental health challenge or the other, whether we're conscious of it or not. Now, I will start with where you said, people assume that you are strong. And I would also piggyback off what Alera had said earlier, that people need, and just to add that, people need to get back in tune with their humanity. Because a lot of the things that you see, especially in this era of social media, I see a lot of projection going on. People who look like what, how do I even say it? People who are not the object of your pain suddenly become the object of your pain, or you project your pain on them just because you need an outlet for what you are personally going through,
or some sort of validation.
So it makes you insensitive to actually what that person is going through, because really it's not your problem.
It's not your business.
It's not directly your problem. So go and sort yourself out. So over time, a lot of people have lost their humanity, and a lot of people are faced with mental health challenges. You see the stress that we go through in the country or wherever we're located. So many people have not learned to put a name to what they're going through. And a lot of people fear being able to do that because of stigma. Because whenever you come out, you say, oh, someone has mental challenges, people want to distance themselves away. People don't want to be associated with you because you have a problem. But that doesn't make the problem to go away.
Absolutely.
Right? So people need to understand that people need time to heal. People need time to recoup themselves. And if you it's also an opportunity for you to pay attention to the people around you. Because if I come back to what you were saying, people always think that you see somebody, they look good, maybe they're on TV, they look happy. Sometimes I'm a very observant person, so I sit down and I watch people.
Oh yes.
And most times I can see through the cracks. A lot of times they're trying to put a facade or make it look as if everything's, until you see a certain behavior that is in contradiction to normal behavior. And then you know that, oh, this is a trick. No, this is not a trick. This is a symptom to an actual problem that somebody might be dealing with. So if I had any message for anybody as in struggle, because we're talking about struggles people face dealing with unstable mental health. Part of the struggle is the fact that people will not allow you to go through the process. People always have an answer. People always have something to say, whether they're sensitive things to say or very insensitive things to say. And I want people to pay attention. There are a lot of people that we have lost to suicide.
Yes.
We have a lot of people who we have lost to depression. We have a lot of people who could have gotten help if somebody was just paying attention to their pain or to the abnormal behavior that would have been a pointer to tell you that something is not right with this person. So imagine that for her, I don't know what exactly she is going through. We don't know. The best we can do is to speculate. But the moment I heard that news about her, the first thing that came to my mind, oh my goodness, my heart goes out to this woman. I don't know what she's going through, but I can only imagine, because of the position, because of the status, so to speak, there's a whole lot of pressure, and it will take a lot of grace for you to be able to do what is good for you now.
You know, just addressing people, it is really sad. I'm trying so hard to keep my emotions together, because you know how people look at you from afar and they just automatically judge you because they believe that this is
should be good.
Who you are.
This is the person you are and all of that. Even when people take certain actions in their lives, it is not enough for you to judge anybody.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I was at the point in my life at some point, in fact, I don't know what ever happened to me, but I'm so grateful to God that I had a good circle of friends. And that's why it's very important that you keep the right circle of friends. I remember that day, like it was yesterday. All day I cried. You know, I cried so bad that it was almost like the tears was not going to stop. Then you see someone going through something, all you think about, you know, people don't understand that there are real life pressures other than what you want.
Real life.
Nigerians, Africans, generally human beings, they feed off of negative gist. That you are going through hell, they want to gloat over that. You know, and people are dying by the minute.
Like,
homes are being broken, relationships are being broken, people's emotions are being battered. You know, because children are growing up
dysfunctional. A strong face. You're expected to in the face of what you're going through. I mean,
children are growing up dysfunctional because we then see that it is a circle that repeats itself. And you just come out and you think you know everything, and you start to talk, you know, absolute gibberish from your mouth.
Absolutely.
It is really sad. Mental health is not something you sit around and
just
joke about or blog about. And like, even these bloggers, where do you draw the line?
Like that's the most painful part. It's crazy because this is not only okay. I was actually going to give a list of the different types of mental illness. There's anxiety disorder, and anxiety disorder can be caused by anybody. A trigger, a tiny thing can just trigger something in you that will just make you break down entirely. There's also behavioral emotional disorder, and in children actually go through these things as well. There's bipolar affective disorder. Bipolar. There's depression, there's disassociation, obsessive compulsive behavior, there's eating disorder, there is paranoia, there's post-traumatic stress. That post-traumatic stress affects a lot, including pregnant women that just had kids. So you cannot even say this is, like, there's a particular thing that should cause a mental health issue. There's so many things that can actually drive down. I know family members that cause, like, for instance, now, I have, like, last year was really stressful for me because when I was planning my father's burial, I remember how some of my extended family members dealt with myself and my sister, and it was a mad anxiety. Like, I cried, like, I remember when we were talking about it, she cried for a whole day. I cried for 5 hours straight. I couldn't stop it. And if somebody should ask me what's wrong with you, I was going through some kind of stress that I couldn't even explain. I have a friend that is going through some type of emotional stress with relationship, and it has triggered the anxiety. And if you see the way she is now, you'll be wondering, is it a man that is causing this thing? But you guys have no idea. Sometimes your job can cause your depression. It's like I don't know if it's possible for any type of regulation. I don't care if there's a table I'm breaking. Honestly, I don't really care. But there should be a regulation against bloggers for certain type of things. You can gossip and talk about people's sexual life or whatever they're doing, which is none of your business anyway. But mental health, let's draw the line there. Let us draw the line there.
Let's take a break. When we come back from the break, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
All right, so if you just tuned in, we're discussing struggles people face dealing with an unstable mental health. Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. So, you know, I find it very... Mental health is not a destination, but it's a process, and it's about how you drive, not where you're going. I saw a few quotes that I thought, this was very important to read. Someone else, that was from Naomi Shire or something. Then Glenn Close says, what mental health needs is more sunlight, more candor, more unashamed conversations, right? You can't, and again, this is even to Genevieve. There's nothing wrong coming out to say, you know what, this is what I am dealing with.
Even
it just shuts everybody. Yes, it shuts everybody out because you've come out to say, this is what I'm going through, and I'm hoping that by God's grace I come out of this. I'll go through the process. Because again, because we try to make it like a backdoor conversation, it gives room for people to blog
all kinds of
sorts of crappy things about it, right? When it was said, I actually thought it was maybe she was just taking a break. But go and check. Most people that take breaks off social media, right? A lot of them are dealing with some challenges and they just don't want to talk about it. When you talked about eating disorder, see, I went through all emotions, right? I went through all sorts of emotions. This year, I decided that I would take my health and my mind and my well-being in my own hands and not put it into. So my happiness does not depend on anybody. My joy does not depend on anybody. I took my life back to myself, and I know how far off I am compared to how I even started this year. Not to talk of 2017, 2018. When I was really in the heat of all the depression and all those things. So somebody can't just wake up and say it. And Nigerians or people, human beings, stop calling people and thinking you have the advice or the counsel of what you think you know about what they are going through. You don't know what they're going through.
What I'm feeling.
It is the person that's wearing the shoes that know where it pinches.
A lot of times, if I may come in very quickly, a lot of times people do not know that sometimes just knowing that you are there for someone, even if I don't have all the answers, but I know I'm here for you, and I will be here for you. I can hold your hand, I can be calm, and just be that shoulder that if you want to cry, whatever it is. Don't be in a hurry to start giving people medication that you are not a tested psychologist or therapist in any way to understand. Even therapists sometimes know that until the person is ready to open up, you can't solicit any information or anything from them. So it takes a lot of understanding, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of humanity for you to know that, you know what, you are not alone in this journey that you're going through. And it's high time that people know that mental health is as important as physical health. A lot of people sometimes pay so much attention to their physical health, or looking good, this and that, and you are suffering emotionally, or you're suffering psychologically. You're putting so much pressure. Some people become like junkies, right? They're fitness junkies, and they're walking themselves toward, and that's where you have some patterns that begin to lead to like anorexia and those food disorders, right? And addictions, bulimia, and all of that. So there are different things. One of the first things is that at least when the person knows that I am dealing through something, and it's okay for me to deal through it. I don't need anybody to tell me that I should hide it, or I should downplay it, or it's something that is a phase, it will blow over. It is not going to go away. The faster you begin to pay attention, and I take that from Genevieve's video, mindfulness. The more mindful you become, the more aware of yourself. You know your triggers. You know those things that when you begin to see them, the stressors, the things that begin to put you in that position where you begin to feel these feelings, then become mindful, become careful to remove those things. For Genevieve, it's possible that social media was one of them. It was putting pressure. So maybe that was why she decided to remove those videos and some
I wanted to
photos.
Add, when you do all of that, you're mindful, you also need to get to that point. I had to build a tough skin. I really don't care what you say about me.
That comes gradually when you start getting yourself.
We pay too much attention to what people say. I got a call this morning, and the person went on and on. Oh, I heard a lot of things about you, blah, blah, blah. I said, you know what? If that's
is all that.
No, I mean, if that
is your summation,
a good reason to get off my back, please, by all means, believe whatever it is that you say. We need to get to that point as human beings where we do not care what people say. Because all this what will people say has landed more people in trouble. It's landed them committing suicide because they cannot handle how the world will see them after. But come on,
it's a gradual process.
There's nothing you have done or you will do. You understand? Because I'm still going to do more. There's nothing that I've done or I will do that it is new under the sun.
They should say what they like.
Do you get my point? So
no, but it's a gradual process
as a human being where you do not care what another person says about you. Do you understand? What you should care most, and this is why if you check my Instagram page, I always say that 3 things that I pay attention to: my mind, my mirror, and my life. My mirror is very important to me because when I look at the mirror, that is what I am saying to myself. Is what I see, and that's all that matters. We must get to that point. Let me come to you, Alero, then I'll come to you.
So, I just wanted to give, I don't know if it's time for us to tell people
quickly
what, the things that you can do basically to help yourself, get in that good mental health space. First of all, you need to value yourself. You need to take care of your body. You need to surround yourself with good people and have a small circle that you trust. You need to give yourself time. You need to be patient with yourself. You need to take it easy on yourself because you go through a lot of struggle and a lot of things. You need to learn how to deal with stress. Stress comes, it's natural. You need to learn how to deal with stress. You need to learn how to quiet your mind, and that's where mindfulness comes in. It's so deep that as you're eating your food, you're paying attention to the taste. You're paying attention to the temperature of the food. You're paying attention to the benefits of that food.
Every single flavor. You can taste the ginger, the turmeric, whatever is inside.
Yes, if you watch that video, when she said mindfulness, it means that she's trying to explain to the world that she's present in, if you look at there's trees in the environment, she's actually in a healing process. She's in a healing process. So this is something that we all need to pay attention to. Then the secrets, which I use for myself, is setting realistic goals. We have a lot of things in this world that affect us in different ways and different angles. And the only way you can help yourself get over it is to be busy with your life. Set goals, learn new things. If you have a job, improve yourself on your job. Improve. If you need to even go to the gym, if you need to build a new habit, a new skill. Before I stop talking, there's a book I would like anybody that is interested to read. It is called The Daily Stoic. And this book basically is by, sorry, let me get his name. Sorry, I can't get his name right. You can check my Instagram page. I'll post it on my story. You need to read this book. It's called The Daily Stoic. You need to understand, Stoic, yes. You need to understand that if you can't control it, let it go. Just let it go. If you cannot control it, I'm going to stop talking at that point.
How about you?
Well, she has practically said it all. But my take is this. Steve Harvey said something. If you're going through hell, do what? Keep going. Why would you stop in hell? Just keep going till you get out of it. Mental health, everybody goes through it in one way or the other. The stress currently in Nigeria, all over the world, the bad news everywhere, we are all mentally stressed out. And we are all mentally going through one challenge or the other. Environment-wise and personally as well. So if you're going through whatever you're going through, just keep moving, keep going. That too shall pass. That's one thing. And Alara said that her secret was get a job, get busy, get things done, and keep yourself busy. My deal is this. First things first. Value yourself. If you do not value yourself, your self-worth, you will lose yourself in the process. So the moment you value yourself, that is where you start to avoid certain things. You learn to ignore certain things. You learn to avoid the things that will cause you any kind of anxiety or any sort of depression, or make you so unhappy that you can't even feel yourself anymore. So that is the first rule of the game.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Norma, let's take some comments.
All right, I have this comment from Devor. Thank you, Devor. He says, I can feel the emotion in the studio from my screen. However, as a clinical depression survivor myself, newsflash, wow, our heart goes out to you too, Devor. Our greatest battle in dealing with mental health is the societal stigma. That comes with the personal challenge of millions. 3 in 4 individuals worldwide are facing a form of mental challenge. Genevieve's only crime is being a celebrity. No thanks to social media. However, our best bet is to have a proper episode with medical personnel and survivors who would guide proper and wider advocacy and publicity on this matter. It's not a hopeless situation. It can be overcome. Thank you so much, Devo, for your comments. I mean, we're just having this conversation, right? It's not, of course, in the process of time, we're probably going to bring in specialists and even survivors to come tell their stories. But the general consensus that I guess we're coming to today is the fact that mental illness and mental health is real. So whether you want to wish it away, whether you pretend it's there, or I'm not affected or not, well, if you are not affected, you probably know somebody who is affected, or you know somebody who knows somebody that is affected. And one way or the other, one Nigerian, one African, one human being in a million, in every 1 to 2 or 3 human beings are going through one mental health challenge or the other. So it's important that we pay attention and we really look out for one another.
Okay, my comment goes thus. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #ways. I want to touch two of your topics discussed tonight. Concerning Genevieve Nnaji's predicament, it is so sad, and I really don't know what really happened. When I first heard about this case, my heart bled, and I really feel for her, even till now. Thank you for feeling for her. A beautiful lady that has millions of followers all around. She's not only a Nollywood actress, but a celebrity with a difference. She needs love, care, and serious prayers. God will help her to overcome this mental illness and disorder. Now, to the next one. He says, concerning the president asking for the resignation of ministers that are coming out for positions in office, someone should tell me, is it wrong? Is it that it is wrong for them to come out, or they are not right and qualified enough? Someone should tell me and enlighten me. Sister Isi, Sister Isi, you are welcome back. My name is Daniel Illo. Thank you, Regular Ways fans.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but in response to Daniel,
comment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, let me just quickly read my comment. So this is from Austin from Delta State. You don't have to break down. You have said it all. Yeah. The best antidote to depression that sometimes results in mental illness is to avoid the triggers. Surround yourself with good people, positive minds, positive-minded people. Persons that will give you solace and commending you. Don't forget about the Bible too. Gloating over mental health is inhumane, and is the truth. Really, it's really crazy that people were just seeing it as gist.
No, it's a lack of love. It's a lack of compassion, empathy.
Which I'm sure that if you sit these people down, if you hear their own story, you'll be like,
No, but they're only projecting, because people who don't, there are people who have pain. All they can give is pain. Yeah. You can't give what you don't have.
And people also do the best
with what they know.
So we must understand that. But thank you again. I think it was important for us to have this conversation, even though it was not our ladies' night out. When we saw that post yesterday, it felt so wrong in all spheres. We're praying and we're hoping that Genevieve will be able to rise above this. It's not easy. For where she's gotten through, I don't think people sit down to think about it. Somebody called me, when the person called me this morning, was saying that you are a celebrity, and I said, where? They say all sorts of things, that it's like the celebrity thing is getting into your head. I was really mad this morning. But you see, I understand, because that is people have to be comfortable with what they say about you. Yeah. They have to give a reason as to why certain things are happening in a certain way. So if they cannot find a reasonable reason, they would invent one. But I'm just grateful that, we are talking, and we're not afraid to talk about it. But you see, what I really would wish for Genevieve to do is to come out and say it as it is. You don't have to. And guess what? You don't need anybody.
At all.
You do not. Because what you should focus on, you should jealously guard your heart. Let me take a final comment from Angola. Good evening, ladies. Concerning today's topic, I believe that maintaining your personal relationship with God and self-care helps healing the unstable mental health. This is from Gift of One, and that's 100% true. And you see, what also, I need to thank my friends, right? I had Norma right beside me when I was going through my hell. I had Priscilla. And, some people condemned them and said they were not good friends because they didn't, you have to tell her and all of that. There is a time and a place for certain things. Yes. So even if you are there, you are not there to talk all the time. Sometimes you're just there to listen and hold the person's hand. Yes. I remember it was Priscilla that took me to La Campagne Tropicana. I cried all day that day. I was just crying like a baby. But after that day, something really relieved me. And I started paying attention. So now I watch every emotion. If I am around you and there's a way you are acting and my energy is, I just avoid you. So you have to be very jealous with your mental space, your circle. You have to be very deliberate.
Selfish.
Very selfish. That's the word.
Like,
you must be selfish with yourself. Because nobody's going to protect your health but you. All right, thank you so much, ladies. I think we had a fantastic conversation. We don't even know what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but we shall see. Thank you, everyone that sent in their message. Thank you, Devo. Thank you, Devo. He knows what he did. Thank you, Daniel. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa. You can drop a comment. More importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. Anything that's human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. So when we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming, less upsetting, and less scary. And this quote, I'm hoping, would reach Genevieve's ears. Just be comfortable talking about it. It's fine. You'll be all right. Thank you so much. And to anyone going out, going through anything out there, you'll be fine. We'll see you guys live at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Enjoy.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God.
The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye.
Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely. By no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, no.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV. Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Today on The Breakfast, President Muhammad Buhari directs all members of the Federal Executive Council running for elective offices to submit their letters of resignation on or before Monday, the 16th of May, 2022.
Also on The Breakfast, the National Executive Council, NEC, of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, opts to throw the contest for its presidential ticket open rather than zone it to a particular region of the country. What does this make of the party's change and chances?
And like always, we will be reviewing the biggest stories making headlines across major dailies in Nigeria. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. You're watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa this Thursday morning. My name is Justin Akadonye.
And I am Mercy Bopo. Welcome to The Breakfast.
Mercy, how are you doing today?
Very well.
You wouldn't ask me how I'm doing too.
How are you doing?
No, now you come. I'm doing very well. If I asked you how you doing as well? No, it's teeth for tat.
Well, you felt like you don't want me to actually land with my how am I doing.
I didn't know
it
you
was
were
more
flying.
of you, how are you doing thing.
I'm doing okay, I'm fine.
Okay, so it feels like you wanted me to ask you how you're doing.
Top trending. What's trending in Nigeria? A whole lot is trending. Not how are you doing, in as much as Mercy doesn't want to ask me how I'm doing. But a whole lot is actually happening in Nigeria. Let's start with what happened in Kano State just yesterday. A court sentenced, wait for it, a 19-year-old to death by hanging, for kidnapping. No, and this person in question is the suspect. He's no longer a suspect since he has been sentenced. Is the criminal's niece or nephew, right? Nephew. It is sad. The Mercy. He's just 19 years old. Some people would say that he's just a youngster. He has his life ahead of him, and it has been cut short because of one singular crazy act that he did, and now his life has been cut short. He's been sentenced to death by hanging. A lot of people will question, okay, fine, is it too harsh? But the fact is that I'm content right now because this is just a teenager and he's been sentenced to death, and it's just as though he didn't even live life at all.
So if you look at it, I know that a lot of people think that it's very harsh and is a teenager because he is 19 and that's why he's a teenager. But if you also look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, when you talk about a child, an adult would become who was 18.
Yeah.
So the Constitution recognizes 18 as an appropriate age for an adult. So yes, he's an adult, even though he's within his teens,
a young adult.
Young adult. But unfortunate. I think that we need to pay attention to what's going on with our teenagers.
You should.
Not
Should
necessarily trying to stereotype or limit it to a certain region, but if you follow the stories and the development, especially in Kano, you find out that a lot's been going on with teenagers. That's the moral for me. So yes, this sentence has actually been put out by a court, but a lot's going on with teenagers. So this is one. So you have that the court sentenced a teenager to death by hanging because he buried his nephew alive. There's also another story of having a teenager taking out the eye of a 12-year-old. There's a lot.
I wonder what runs through their head.
There's also another story from Kano emanating that a teenager has also been arrested or something. I can't remember, but it has to do with stealing the roof of stealing roofs and stuff like that. But like I mentioned earlier on, we need to pay attention to our teenagers.
We should.
And this has nothing to do with a certain region, but I think that we should be concerned. Everyone should be concerned about the happenings. And it's quite unfortunate because if you talk about the conversations that have been generated, you don't really get the buzz that you would get, naturally if it was other subject. I really don't know, but it hasn't really generated all of that buzz that you would get with, the APC and the PDP and other issues and who's decamping and who's not decamping. But if we constantly say that these young people are the future of tomorrow, then we need to do better. well, it's a capital punishment. Some people have asked, do we still have capital punishment effective? Do we still use it? But if you look at capital punishment, it's a legal authorization to kill someone. I mean,
if you kill, you have to be killed.
For some punishment, is a means of punishing someone, and the criminal code endorses all of that. So, yes, I understand. You know, the arguments that some people have put out. He's very young. I mean, he's a teen. So when you say he's a
no, he's committed a crime, so he should do the time. You know, but I agree with you. I agree with all of that. It still goes down to the family level, to the society, and every other thing. Like you have rightly said, maybe the society, maybe the family, maybe the churches, maybe people, the community, who ordinarily should be taking care of this, or watching out, or looking out for these young people, molding them grow. They are seemingly abandoning, what they should be doing. Not long ago, we saw the sex tape, Chrisland and all. Those are young people. I don't know how their minds work these days, though. For someone as young as that to even think of gorging out another person's eye, killing, burying people alive. What doctrine has he or she been listening to? How come he or she has been so indoctrinated to the extent that they do these things and they seem to have lost their humanity? So where do we go from here?
When you say indoctrinated, also you say there's some doctrine. What doctrine?
Indoctrinated, maybe the things they are watching, the things they are listening to, what they are telling them, maybe their faith. It could be anything really.
But I don't think. I mean, there's no faith if you look at it. If you look at Islam, and also if you look at Christianity, if you look at it fundamentally, there's no part of all of this religion that promotes violence, right? But in all of this, I think that people hide behind the religion to perpetrate all of this crap,
to deceive people.
And so when we wake up and begin to say the punishment that's been put out is a capital punishment, and we're querying and questioning it, and some people are saying that's harsh. What do you expect? It's part of the law, the criminal code. It's part of it. You also have the fact that this is what it is. Really, if he was maybe 13, then you probably say he's not, the age.
Just a juvenile.
Yeah, he's just a juvenile. But he's 19. And so 19, 18, the Constitution recognizes 18 as the age. But it's unfortunate. Like I had mentioned earlier on, I think that we need to pay attention. I don't think, but we need to pay attention to our children. We need to pay attention to the young people. We need to understand. It's okay, but I feel also that if you look at it, we seem to be more concerned about
the wrong things.
Politics. But what concerns us. And so you're having this one who wants to become the next governor, who wants to become this, and nobody's paying attention to
the things
all of these things that happen. Because it's really shocking that a 19-year-old would bury their nephew alive. Wow. So it's what has happened, and fingers are actually crossed. I mean, that has happened, but reactions have generated. But does it change anything? It doesn't, because he's going to be, sentenced already.
Yeah, he's going to be hanged.
If that's hasn't already happened.
I don't think so. It's just been sentenced, but the hanging has not been done yet. But let's move on. Remember the Super Cop, Abba Kyari, who is facing charges for alleged drug trafficking, and of course also some questions to answer at the United States. Well, he was in court yesterday, and something came out of all of this. Mercy, I don't know if I'll call it just boldness. Some people say it's imprudence. Some people say temerity. I don't know the English or grammar. But how can somebody think just because of him, the society, will just be stored, or maybe crime fighting, will take a different turn because he's not been around? Anyway, that's one of the arguments that was put forward yesterday in court, and Kyari is saying that criminals have been emboldened since he's been in detention.
Criminals have been emboldened even before Abba Kyari was, detained, and before his case came up. So no one is indispensable. Yes, at some point he had his chances. I mean, he made a mark, and of course he was tagged a super cop. But that has not changed the fact that criminality and crime has not continued. So crime and criminality has been ongoing for a very long time. It's been going on. Before he became, he was tagged as super cop, for what he did, and that hasn't really changed anything. So, I mean, Abba Kyari should understand that he's not Spider-Man. He's not
Superman.
He's not Superman. He's not even Ben 10. Ben 10 is he? Because
you watch too much.
I'm just
too much Pixar and
it's not Pixar. These are superheroes. When you talk about them, you know, if you want to talk about superhero, you have Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero.
No, that's
you
your
have all the
favorite.
It's not my favorite.
But you mentioned it first.
Oh well, why are we going to that?
That's
point?
not the issue. Don't
It's
mind
a very serious issue, right?
Yeah.
So he's not a superhero. He did a great job. He was tagged a super cop.
Supposedly.
Now
did
Nigeria.
I'm going to dispute that. He did a great job, but a lot of things came out. He was seemingly doing a great job. At the end of the day, he was doing some other bad things.
Good. So that it brings us back to the conversation that, like I rightly mentioned, you are not a superhero. You did a great job. You were tagged a super cop, right? But you need to also understand that Nigeria is not one man cannot solve Nigeria's problem.
No.
Now the problem with security is not a one-man problem. We're still even questioning the fact that how come we have the police? How come we have other security apparatus that's been set out, you know, to handle issue of security, and then crime is still, you know, on top of the chart, right? So Abba Kyari alone cannot solve. I mean, if you look at the police, how the police work and security, they don't work in isolation.
No, they don't. They work as teams.
Yes. So it's a chain kind of organization. You have to work with a team of people to achieve that. For him to say that, it's not very logical, whether his lawyers making that for him. I just feel like it's one of those things trying to appeal and not appeal, because he's also mentioned the fact that, his life is also at risk.
Yes, that's another thing.
If your life is, or if you're saying that you're a super,
share the same cells with IPOP and ESN.
Should he be sharing it with me?
No,
I mean, if you're a super
you'll be
cop,
given a VIP.
if you are a super cop here,
Yes.
right? If you one would expect that you should put out all of that super cop kind of energy in the prison, right?
Yeah.
And take down anyone who's coming at you. But that's on a lighter note. But the point here is he needs to. This is not a logical conversation. It's very laughable for you to say that because of the fact that you're being detained, crime and criminality has thrived. 2015 is still thriving. It's still going. And some people are saying that the reason it's thriving is because the body language of Mr. President is different. The president is not acting a certain way, and not because
he's in detention. What are they saying?
It has nothing to do with you, Abba Kyari.
And
Nigeria is too big for you.
Yes, we're giving him too much credit. You know, discussing that for too long, really. But then again, he's saying that his life is at risk because he shares the same detention cell or facility with independent people of Biafra and of the Eastern Security Network. You know, so Mercy, is it like he feels that they are after him or what?
No, but I don't know. I don't know how it is because I've never been to prison.
No, I pray you don't go to prison. You don't need to go to prison. Except maybe you're going there for a work. You're working and you need to do some story on the prison. But you are not going to go to prison. You don't want to know what happens.
But I have been detained unlawfully.
Mercy, how long did you stay in prison?
Not in prison.
Jail.
Detention. In cell. Yes.
Americans will call it that you went to jail.
No, I didn't go to jail.
Mercy was in jail.
I wasn't in jail.
For how many days?
It was just
what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What did they accuse you of?
Theft,
Yes, see, klepto.
Not that. I mean, it's really wrong because even as I wasn't even 18 at the time, it had to do with examination.
And you were still detained?
Yes, I was. Unlawful. And I knew I was telling the cop that, you know, when I turn 18, I will sue you for this. I said that. I remember it very well. I will sue you for what you have done because you had no right to put me behind. It's a long story. Examination, you find yourself in an examination environment, GCE, and then you were taken.
The wrong set of people.
You know, we're just taken away, whisked away and said, you were part of, I don't even know. You know, for me, that's why sometimes it's really strange when people talk about exam malpractice. At what point do I understand that people, you have to write something and send to another person and that's cheating? But it's a long one. But it just shows you that we live in a very lawless society where people act irrational, including those who should protect our rights, you know, trample on them, take advantage of us. But maybe, I don't know if I'm forgiving it. Maybe I should, you know, consider suing those
maybe
who arrested me.
You have your right. You still have, you know, I mean, you were unlawfully detained. You have the right to seek redress. Okay, you want to continue with Abba?
I
think we should let him just go. I think you're just giving him too much attention. That's just, in my opinion. First of all, he feels he's some super cop that his bodies have been embodied. I feel that's just an affront.
But a lot is going on in our system. And for every other time that we talk about changing Nigeria and the fact that we talk about the corruption and the rot in the system, we also need to look inwards. Like I would say, a corrupt society is, when you have corrupt leaders, it's just a reflection of who we are.
Yes,
so
they didn't just fall from
society,
space.
Have,
they were bred from us, from amongst us.
So a corrupt society would always throw up corrupt leaders. And so when you have your leaders corrupt, when you say the president is nepotistic, it just shows you that it's a reflection of who we are. We're nepotistic, we're corrupt. Whatever it is that you accuse, those at the top, it's just a reflection of who you are. And until we begin to understand that it is not entirely the fault of those who are ruling, but it's just a reflection of who we are, and we take responsibility for doing the right thing. If you look at some of these climes, for instance, we always want to make reference to developed climes and talk about the things that happen. Those things don't happen by magic. They're not spirit who make them happen. People obey the rule of law. You respect the law. It doesn't, because of course the rule of law, the law itself is not a respecter of anyone.
Not at all.
And so that's why you have the principle of check and balances and all of that. But we are not even doing that. It's just who we are. And at the end of the day, you become a president, you become a governor, you become a chairman, you become a councillor, a chairman of, a council chairperson or a councillor at the ward and what have you. The list is almost endless. You're becoming some leader, the director in one ministry. All of that will continue to show up. We need to take responsibility for where Nigeria is. We need to take responsibility for where the police and every agency of government is, because we're just a reflection of what's going on in these places.
Yes, it is. We'll take our last top trending right now. It is actually a very sad one, because somehow we can relate to that. This person in question was a journalist, and she was killed in the line of duty. And right now there has been a bit of outrage in Palestine, Israel, over the killing of the Al Jazeera journalist Shirin Abu Akleh. She was shot dead, killed by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. The 51-year-old was covering an Israeli army raid on the Jenin refugee camp when she was shot in the face by a single bullet. Well, despite wearing a press vest, it is really a very sad one.
I'm not going to be emotional. Yeah. But our hearts and prayers with, the journalists. What do I say now? The family of journalists who's lost their loved one, because she belongs to family. She's someone's friend, she's a mother, apparently, or she's everything apart from the fact that she's a journalist. But it just shows you that there's a lot of hazard with the job, and it's quite unfortunate. But we're hoping that justice will be meted. As at the time of the report, I remember taking the particular story. There was no comment from the Israeli government and what have you, but it is quite unfortunate.
It is, and may God give the family of the deceased the fortitude to bear this particular irreparable loss. We'll leave it at that. Zoe, we're taking on Top Trending this morning. Mercy, right?
And that's it on Top Trending. We'll return tomorrow with more reactions, more conversations, generating reactions in different spaces. And that's it. But just before that time out, when we come through, we will be looking at the papers this morning and bringing you up to speed with what's making the rounds across the country. Stay with us.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamode Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them.
If you no talk, then go beat you.
Now 2,500 they pay.
Welcome to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time for Off the Press. We have Ezekiel Nyaituk, a public affairs analyst. He joins the conversation in no time. Ezekiel, thank you for joining us this beautiful Thursday morning.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Let's take a look at the leadership newspaper this morning. And as always, our attention would be on the top stories. PDP discards zoning and throws ticket open. Very interesting. And party primaries and electoral acts. Staving off litigations, President Muhammadu Buhari asks Malami, Amechi, Timipura Silver, 5 orders to go. I like how, this captions are being put out. And you have riders underneath uncertainty trails Amaechi's resignation. I will consult with Mr. President and my people, Ngige. Really. Appeal court sets aside judgment on Section 84, subsection 12. It will stop impunity and illegality, says CSOs. APC adjust timetable on governorship primaries now May 20, National Assembly May 24th. But I'm just hoping that this also, it's in tandem with INEC. Not forgetting yesterday we talked about this. And, you know, INEC is saying that the timetable has already been printed, the time that was submitted. There will be no review of the timetable. We're hoping that INEC does not make, they stand by their words and not going to make an exception for a certain political party. In security, Masari shots Batsari Jabi Road. APC presidential forms, I did not collect 200 million from Jonathan. Find out who's saying all of that. And you find Aisha Buhari wants envoy support for women in politics. ASU strike. ASU federal government meets in Aso Rock today, or Aso Villa, and bandits kill Colonel, 7 soldiers in Taraba. The headlines on the leadership this morning.
Away from the leadership, we'll move on next to the Punch newspaper. The lead story for this morning, Buhari vows to pressure APC panel may demand resignation letters. Nwajuba Onu Akpabio tender resignation, Malami Ngige retain seats. Action belated could have saved nation from drama as SANs berate Buhari. Above the masthead, 19 days after Simban, NIN registration hits 80.7 million. INEC plans 3-week suspension of online voter registration. ASU, reps intervene, students shut down Lagos Abeokuta Road. 2023 elections unlikely, Nigeria progressing to anarchy, that's according to Falai. It's wicked owing us pensions, Protestant Civil War veterans lament. Lagos to demolish 10 more distressed buildings before Sunday. Hoodlums invade Lagos hotel, kill guard, rob jam officials. Banks' assets rise by 19%, hit 62.01 trillion naira. That's according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. I'll run according to rules, says Tunde Bakari. Football trials, police arraign suspect Olympian denies defrauding businesswoman. Ekiti driver bags life jail for raping student passenger twice. Those are the stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
Away from the Punch newspaper, the Daily Independent is before us this morning. Primaries, appeal court insists political appointees won't vote. Says there won't be voted for, can't be candidate for elections. That's the writer says there won't be voted for and can't be candidate for elections. Set aside judgment voiding Section 84, subsection 12, sees provision as illegal. There's a lot going on. And strike Buhari, CSO holds meeting with ASU, NASU orders today at the Villa. And you have the NJC issues policy direction on handling political and election-related cases. Another header this morning on the Daily Independent. Underneath that caption, recommends appointment of 49 judges. And just before we move away, APSU set to go on strike, gives federal government 2 weeks ultimatum. Reps amend Electoral Act to allow statutory delegate vote at primaries. A vet rowdy session rejects proposed amendment to Section 29. I will support whoever emerges in fair primary. That's what the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed, is quoted to say. And court nullifies Malami's committee on sale disposal of recovered asset. 2023 elections, Onu Nwajuba Akpabio quits cabinet after Buhari's directive. These are some of the headlines. And one dies as gunmen attack JAM officials in Lagos hotel. It's very sad. On the Daily Independent this morning, the headlines.
And finally, we will review the Guardian newspaper. The Electoral Act is just taking front page across some various papers this morning. 3 ministers resign, others in a fix. Several captions or several writers there. Appeal Court knocks lower court on Section 84, subsection 12. Akpabio Ono, media aide obey Buhari's directive, resign. Education Junior Minister resigned April 28. Ngige, I will consult my constituency before I resign. Late resignation may hurt ministers' ambition, stirs up legal debate over 30-day ultimatum before primaries. Reps align with Senate, amend Electoral Act for statutory delegate. Senator John sitting to allow lawmakers participate in party primaries. Away from that, NJC issues policy directions on election-related cases. Nausa vows to disrupt party primaries. 2023 elections if ASU strike persists. PDP flays ANAP Foundation of a survey report on Ekiti-Guba polls. Don't drag us into partisan politics. Cross River Monarchs 1. Self-determination group seeks cancellation of 2023 general election. Other stories on the front page of The Guardian. Tenure extension call unconstitutional. Tenure extension call unconstitutional. Threats to democracy. Olanik Mekun wants. PDP nomination crisis deepens in South-South. Igbo won't complain if Wike, Amechi, or Emefiele emerges, President says group. Let's see if we can take 1 or 2 more. Gunmen kill 6 soldiers, abduct commander in Taraba. Tortive alleges herders plots to seize ancestral land. 47 days after Hero tasked Buhari on freeing abducted Abuja, Kaduna train passengers, and a whole lot more making front page of The Guardian newspaper this Thursday morning.
We have Ezekiel Yaitok, who joins the conversation this morning. It's a delight to have you join us. Good morning.
Thanks for having me, as always. It's a delight to be here.
All right, then. Let's start off with the proclamation of the president asking that those of the members of the Federal Executive Council resign if they have any political ambition. Now we have seen Akpabio, among others, heading that direction.
Yeah, there's something about leadership. To be a leader, you must be on top of the game. You must be constantly briefed, and you must direct and drive the processes. It's not enough for you to say, I've delegated, and that is enough. No, we need a president who is on top of the game. As soon as this law came out, what I had expected was Mr. President to ask for a legal opinion 2 ways, one from within, another from outside. He sits down, looks at the whole, implications, the imports, and the prognosis of the whole law, and then takes a proactive decision. If Mr. President had done this, there was a law that says, don't do this. It's always better to err on the side of caution. Now he had an option, which was, Malami, attack this, get a Supreme Court, interpretation, and let me know where I am early enough. He left it to linger. Right now, technically, even if they resign, the 30 days before the primaries would have elapsed. I don't know how this is going to work out. So giving the law now, or the instruction now, I do not know what serves him at the end of the day. I think that I'm still concerned that we need to understand what leadership is in Nigeria. And as we try to, elect the next president or choose the next president, we Nigerians should have a conversation on what should be expected, the leadership criteria that we must look at before we go, so that even when they start campaigning, there are certain parameters that we have as Nigerians. And again, I wish the media will be able to give us that direction, that compass that will guide Nigerians, which is one of the responsibilities of the media, which is why they are called the fourth estate of the realm. And also not just the media, But we that call ourselves our elders or the elite or the enlightened, we need to also know that in recruiting a CEO for this country, there must be a profiling criteria, and we should make that available to the public, who are going to be the people to choose. So I think that Mr. President's instruction has come maybe a little too late, but better late than never, you may say.
All right, let's take other stories, making headlines. Staying with the Guardian newspaper, well, a lot of people, or some groups, are calling for the cancellation of the 2023 general elections. Now, this self-determination group seeks cancellation of the election. Ezekiel Etok, this is not the first time there has been a call for the cancellation or the shift of the 2023 general elections. But should this be what we should be looking at right now?
You see, there's the word anarchy, another word confusion. These are two words that we really need to look at very well, because you don't just talk. We run a constitutional democracy. What that means is that there's something called rule of law and processes. Can they tell me what they have put in place, how they intend to do this, or put away? Are you trying to talk in terms of tenure elongation? If that is to be done, are you aware that it is a constitutional matter where it is one of those areas that the National Assembly cannot just pass a law and that is it? It will have to go into changing or adjusting the constitution, which will have to not only go through the two arms of the National Assembly, but also at least 2/3 of the state assemblies. How many days? Why are we talking about this now? I think that what we need to do, if you mean well for this country, is to say, in the next dispensation, this is what we want to achieve. On account of that, these are the sort of people who commit to this that we should bring into the House, so that when they get in, there'll be a legislation that alters and gives us the sort of governance that we want. A lot of these, things or agitations, which are not really, are contrived. They are people who have been on the seat of power, and suddenly they are seeing themselves getting out of power that they thought was their own for life. They didn't know that it's a tenured stuff, and it's a job that you leave, is not your company. Now they are seeing that, they are now looking for ways to, go behind and cause all manner of confusions. We must have our eyes on the ball, and I want to tell Nigerians, please ignore these people. Make sure you look for credible people to vote for. Make sure you give them an agenda to use as their manifesto. If what you want is a referendum, start to sell that agenda, that if you commit yourself to this, at least say it. The Bible says that a man is ensnared by the words of his mouth. So let us, get the people to say, this is the agenda we want. Commit yourself to that agenda and we will vote for you. And I think that's a better route to go than for you to say, okay, let's do that government of national unity, eternal elongation. All those things are distractions, not for now. And secondly, politicians are also in it. Politicians who know that they are not good enough, know that if you set up the real recruitment criteria, they will not fit into it. So they bring a counter narrative to distract you and get you to start to talk. And before you know it's election time, they say, okay, it's not too late, let's go. And then they come back to power. I think that we must have our eyes on the ball. Let us seek the Nigeria we want, paint the picture, and make sure that we enlighten the people enough on the sort of people they should elect into the House or the governance system, so that we can have a focused governance come 2023.
But let's continue on this particular note, the issue of self-determination group seeking cancellation of the 2023 elections. I mean, shouldn't we pay attention to all of these thoughts that are being put out? First, we actually had these elder statesman, Afe Babalola, who was suggesting that it would be okay to have an interim government so we don't recycle the same leaders. And now we're having people saying, let's cancel the elections for 2023. Should we not pay attention to this thought pattern?
Now, as you pay attention, the question is how. It's a very simple, it's not something that is complicated at all. How do you want to do it? You want to suspend the Constitution? How do you want to do it? Please tell the people to elect women and men of character, competence, capacity. That should be your campaign. Don't tell me we should. How do you want to do it? How? And the revered legal luminary Afe Babalola, I mean, he knows too well. How come he did not tell us how we should get about it? Are you telling me that we should go to National Assembly now and tell them what? How do you want to do it? It doesn't make sense.
So the question here is, should we, maybe would rather say, should we not be worried, but not worried in that particular sense? I mean, this is in the speculative. There's been a lot of speculation about whether or not, we're going to have the 2023 elections. And then you have different groups and persons who are postulating and suggesting that we cancel the elections. Should we not be concerned? Should we not be meeting with these groups? And
indeed, we should understand what distraction means. We shouldn't even continue with this discussion. I shouldn't even spend one more minute of my time on this discussion. I'm a very, by the grace of God, cerebral person. I'm enlightened. And I'm asking you a simple, why should I be worried? Election is around the corner. Election is around the corner. They are about to choose the people that are going to be on the ballot. And you want to tell me now is the time that I should be worried? Before you can say Jack, parties have elected the people that will be on the ballot. And you are confined to those people. And this is a time for you to have a conversation on how I should be worried about what could be, maybe, when there is what is. And what is that is? It is that we have an election and parties are choosing their representatives now. What should bother us is, who am I going to see on the ballot? Who am I? Because the moment you have candidates, it forecloses everything. You can either choose between 6 and have a dozen, or you have a fresh option alternative, or you put pressure on the two main parties to ensure. Look at what PDP is doing now. Look at what APC is doing. They've taken us for granted that whoever they give to us is what we'll take, because the media is like, oh, APC or PDP, APC or PDP. They've already bought us, so they have no business trying to impress us. But if they knew that there is a third force, Nigerians have a choice, which is what the press should have been on. Who are the options? A man like Mohalo cannot be treated as somebody that's a non-entity. You compare him to some of the names that you call in APC or in PDP, and I just feel insulted, as a personal thing. A man like Kachiku, these are people, Moye, these are young people who have made a mark, who are visionary. But because we have not profiled the criteria for the recruitment, when you profile the criteria for the recruitment, you discover that you don't want to be a boxer at 70 years. You don't want to be a boxer. But if there are no things, you just look at yourself, you look at the criteria, you tell yourself, I know fit. Look at the 27 people that bought 27, what do they call it? 100 million. 27 people. Put those people, call a body like KPMG to bring out a profiling criteria for the CEO for Nigeria. Over 90% of them wouldn't even bother to buy a form. But because we do not have this recruitment criteria, everybody is just coming in. When will we have a criteria that the parties will use to bring out the candidate that must be? There's a way the party can even say, bros, leave this in, don't worry. It's not that we want money, we want to win.
All right, so Mr. Nyayetok, we need to move on and move away from that particular one. Let's slide on to the leadership newspaper. This issue of Jonathan not contesting seems to be lingering for quite too long. But the way the leadership captioned it for this morning, APC presidential forms I didn't collect 200 million naira from Jonathan. That's according to Governor Badaro. Let's get your quick opinion concerning that.
It's all the distractions. I have said it. Yesterday I was on this station, Plus Politics.
Okay.
And I made a very fundamental statement. After Mandela, arguably, former President Jonathan is one Nigerian that has enjoyed global acceptance, respect, honor. And that is good for the image of Nigeria. That's number one. Number two, the South will feel shortchanged that Jonathan comes back to collect the presidency that cannot stay for 8 years in the South, but for 4 years and then back to the North. They will hate the man no end. Thirdly, the current situation that we are in needs a leader that is charismatic, that is visionary. And we cannot forget too soon how Jonathan was painted with all the terrible, paint as being clueless, as being immoral, as being all sorts of things. We can't forget too soon. The moment the campaign starts, these things will come back. I do not know what the advisors of Jonathan are telling him. But my honest opinion is that for the love of country, let us have one Nigerian that is respected. OBJ is another man. The more that is added, as soon as President Buhari gives us free, fair, credible election, he will join that class of people. And Nigeria can say these are 1, 2, 3 global citizens that can speak for us if we need debt relief or forgiveness or voices. Let's not bring President Jonathan back and rubbish him. Please, I hope this matter just dies the way. Whether somebody bought or collected money is not important. Eyes on the ball means President Jonathan, please remain that our shining star to the global community, a good name for Nigeria, and please just leave this presidency alone.
Okay, quickly, it talks about the online voter registration that has been suspended. According to INEC, they have actually put out the reason for all of that suspension. It's supposed to allow time for physical registration at designated centers taking place at the same time.
Yeah, they've been making a lot of efforts. Down here where I am, I'm contesting the governorship of Akwa Ibom State, and right down to my ward, the INEC people are bringing their people down to the ward to do the physical registration. I want to appeal to the young people. It's good that you go down to get physically registered. It's not like registration is suspended. They say, look, just come to where we are. And if you go early enough, the pressure is not mounting right now. And INEC maybe get as much decentralized as possible. They actually came to my ward and spent number of days trying to get the people to register. I think that this is good. It not only helps you to get to meet them, it helps you to kind of acquaint yourself, start to have, instead of just sitting in your room and getting it done. It is good, but early enough, let us start to get to the ward, get to know where your station would be. It's an animation that I think makes sense. I tend to agree with INEC, but maybe they should also be doing, not too fixed on it. After the primaries, they could have another little window, so long as it is something that they know they can meet the timelines that they've set. But it's better they follow their timelines than try to impress people and then get into trouble on the long run.
All right, 19 days after SIM ban, NIN registration hits 80.7 million. That's according to the Punch newspaper. Nigerians are seemingly registering so much now. It's been 19 days and over 80.7 million have registered. What does this tell you, Ezekiel?
Yeah, two things is that if you want to do something, do it. Nigerians have a way of thinking, oh, it won't happen, and they will shift it, they will postpone it, they will shift it, they will postpone it. I think that when they started blocking lines, and they were not, you can receive calls, cannot make calls. People now started taking really serious. So I think it's good enough, so long as the registration is put to good use and not politicized. I think it's good. We are making progress.
All right, thank you so much, Ezekiel Nyaeto.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
We look forward to sharing more of your thoughts on The Breakfast. We appreciate you always.
And so do I.
All right, that's the slice of Off the Press for this Thursday. We'll be taking a quick break and see what happened this day in history. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the president's directive to his FEC members and the implications of all of that. In a moment, stay with us.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Events is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, by no question. He's a living legend.
Oh, God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity.
No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
our kids. Parents should stop playing God. The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
Na 500 naira they collect am. If you no talk, dem go beat you. Na 2,500 they pay.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
All right, welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and we're still looking at the Electoral Act, political interest, and all of that with the president issuing a directive. Some people have described it as a sledgehammer. Let me just give you a bit of a background. President Muhammad Buhari has directed all ministers seeking elective public office to resign before May the 16th. Now, this was disclosed by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, at the end of Wednesday's Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by the president. Now, the Special Assistant to the President on Digital and New Media, Tolu Ogunlesi, also stated this in his Twitter post. Now, some of the president ministers who have indicated an interest in elective positions are Transportation Minister Rotimi Amechi, who seeks to be President, Abubakar Malami, the Attorney General, who seeks to be Kebbi Governor, Labour Minister Chris Ngige, who seeks to be President but has yet to purchase his form, and Minister of State for Health, the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Emeka Nwajoba, who also seeks to be president. Now, Buhari's directive was made known on the day the Court of Appeal conditionally validated a section of the electoral law that mandates political office holders like ministers to resign before they can contest for elections or vote in party primaries. We have Kach Ononoju, political affairs analyst, joining us on this conversation. Good morning to you, Okachi Ononuju. Thanks for joining us this time around.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was a big one yesterday, and it has actually generated a whole lot of reactions across various platforms, with some people saying that it is a good one. CSOs have commended the president, but others are thinking that the president seems to be very reactionary rather than being proactive. How do you reason?
Well, I will say he was, yes, you're right, reacting to the Court of Appeal, which said that the judgment procured by Malami in a court in Umuahia, that was wrong. So since the National Assembly as an institution have gone to appeal against such alteration of their bill without their consent, the president simply followed what the court said. Because don't forget, the advice he got from certain lawyers was that that law has not yet become effective. And since it's not effective, you notice since the past fortnight, the bureaucracy itself was sending out key advices, telling civil servants that even if that case is in court, that the standing rule still says civil servants who intend to partake in politics must resign within a given period. So while that was being advised, the court now came in an appeal dismissing and setting aside the Umuahia position that Section 84 be expunged. So President simply followed that court ruling yesterday and advised the ministers to follow suit on what ministers like Emeka Wajiba, who did provide his resignation on the day he picked up the form, what he did. So it is now official. And you're probably going to see a lot of the jokers may not now resign. There are a lot of people who will not resign. You saw that the central bank governor was in court litigating that he doesn't want to resign. He wants to keep his position yet. And as we're talking about it, the big man at the Mint also went to buy a form. So there is a total breakdown of order in this administration in regards to the presidential elections. You could see that. They brought forms for several people. There were several denials. And but I believe we should just give it some time before these things will settle, and we will probably get to know where we are going to, because there's a lot of wrong signals coming in. So it was good that he interjected himself and then brought that intervention, which now puts every minister at official notice that by Monday, everybody who intends to run for election and you're an appointee of the Buhari administration, whether you're a minister or a central bank governor, if you're running for that office, you must resign. That is the significance of the president's intervention yesterday.
Dr. Okachi Ononuju, let's also look at this now. Do we need the president to emphasize this? The Electoral Act is very explicit. I mean, that part of it, Section 84, subsection 12, is very clear about it. Do we need the president to make this statement for these political appointees to begin to act? What does it tell of the people?
No, we do not need the president to provide this guidance. The law should naturally take its course. But of course, we've seen a lot of things also misinterpreted by certain people in government. And if this also has come into that same misinterpretation, let's simply say it is one of the several infringements that we have seen so far with this administration. So that yesterday he's given his instructions, and I believe you will, from today till next tomorrow, find out those who are genuinely intended on running, apart from the charade we've seen, where every Tom, Dick, and Harry are now buying presidential forms.
All right, so far from what we know, some have resigned. Godswill Akpabio has resigned as the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. The President's personal assistant on new media and digital communications, Bashir Ahmed, has also resigned. Emeka Nwajuba, Minister of State for Education, has resigned. But then, Obon Minister of Science and Technology, has resigned as well. But there are a bit of differentials as it is right now. The Minister of Labour and Employment says he needs to get clarification, from the President before he actually does that. He's yet to resign, and of course, not just him, other people as well. But I really need to understand what all of this, imply for the President. Would he need to now appoint new ministers, new members of his cabinet just before the elections?
That seems inevitable. He will need to rejig his cabinet and allow politically exposed and election-interested people to go their way. And you also will now see, as you were recounting, I confirmed this morning, because there were some back and fronts about Minister Akpabio, but this morning I was on phone and he said, yes, he's resigned, and I said, fine. So that of Mr. Ngige said he will be consulting his constituents. The President has spoken. You don't need to go back to the President. So Minister Ngige said he will consult his constituents. You are going to hear such words from a lot more people now that the APC Bayelsa yesterday said that Goodluck Jonathan's name has formally been registered. Also with the PDP yesterday decided not to go along with zoning, because the party is foundationally built on zoning. But for them now to say they won't zone, of course, that simply tells you there will be totally brand new permutations, and we actually may see those that have been denying become real aspirants in this election. The surprises are not yet over, because if a lot of the aspirants from the East were specifically told by the President to go take the form, then you should understand the President's mindset in regards of the kind of Southerner he's looking for. So when he now talks about the East, so you're now seeing even people from even the old Eastern region, but currently in politically dual political zone of South-South. And that's why you're seeing everybody there residing. So I believe we now know where in the South the presidency has been advising people to go get ready about the primaries. If it turns out to be Goodluck Jonathan, then it means there will be no contest. There will be no contest.
It probably might just be a conversation for another time. But let's look at this now. With Chris Ngige saying he needs to consult with the President before, he
not with the President. He's not the President. He said he wants to consult with his constituents. The President had already given the instructions.
The constituents here. Dr. Katrin Nunoju has not been, explained. I mean, it could be anything. A lot has been happening recently. But does this not even tell us that does this not really portray the ideology of having a strong man or having strong men in the system rather than having a strong system itself? Because one will be wondering why everyone would have to wait for the President to make a statement about what the electoral law is very explicit about before they take action. It just shows that there's no regard for the rule of law.
That is true. That is true. The rule of law has been severely challenged under Mr. Buhari's rule. Don't forget, we are talking about election, yet the most serious things that have happened in the past 1 week are far more heavier than the misinterpretations of the portion of the law in regards to those who want to run for election. We have been removed from the sovereign recommendations list in the emerging markets arena by a lot of banks because they've not seen any remittance in the past 90 days from our oil sales. And you've also seen the British Home Office write to say that the violence we've been seeing in the East are not committed by the IPOB. So all this brings a lot of questions to bear. And that's why I say going forward, we have a lot on our hands.
Would you say that all of this is a product of a disregard for the rule of law or obeying instructions?
It is a disregard to the rule of law. You do not need the president to tell you to obey the law. The law should stand on its own, and every person appointed to work in government should naturally know the law. But because people are advised that certain things can be bent for them, of course you're seeing this. Even what we're discussing, does this look like a primary? No, it looks like a joke. All sorts of names, every kind of persons, you know, and you start to ask yourself, are they all really running for this office? And you're going to see at the end of the day, you're likely to see a repetition of what we saw in the events leading up to the emergence of the party chairman in the last APC convention. I don't see a primary. I see the withdrawal letter induced charade. I don't think there will be primary. I think the president will simply point to somebody, and everybody who submitted their form with the withdrawal attachment from 18 to it will simply be told, you swore to this notarized document that you have withdrawn. So we have now considered, and this is who we believe we should be endorsed. The reason for 1 million people buying the form is simple. If out of the 50 people or so that have the form, you have up to 80% agreeing to the president to endorse somebody, those people's behavior will now be used as a reference to blackmail some real genuine people that bought the form into also following suit, just as they did in the emergence of the party chairman, and going on to endorse whoever the president wants. So I foresee the protocols being set up for blackmailing those who have legitimately stepped forward to actually contest in the primary. I don't see a primary in any way.
All right, Dr. Kach Ononojo, let's look at it from another angle. I know some people are saying this might just spark some legal debate over the 30-day expiration just before the primaries. You know, that's what the Electoral Act stipulates. And then again, there's also the talk of it affecting the chances of these ministers, you know, late resignation and all of that. What are your thoughts exactly?
Well, definitely. That's why I told you a lot of the ministers may suddenly not resign. From today, you will see a lot of those who bought the form will change their mind. I can't tell anybody that what's going on is normal. No, it's very abnormal. It is injurious to an honest contest. It undermines the democracy. But then it simply goes to show that the system has, instead of going forward, has actually done one step forward and 4 steps backward. If we now, in a party that had its primary in Lagos fully televised, suddenly now preparing to undermine institutions and instead seeking to listen to the voice of a strong man. That's the truth. Instead of building institutions, no, we're building powerful iron bender men. I don't think this is good for our democracy.
All right, so invariably you're saying that most of these ministers will not resign. But those who eventually will resign, how do you see their chances really? Or
there
those
are
who would
some
resign,
that
rather.
will resign.
Yes, those who would
and
resign.
those that will resign will know. Those are those from the East, where the minister, the president seems to be giving all indications, and that was why you saw the charades around Goodluck Jonathan. Now he's giving them their conditions that yes, it's not enough for Minister Malami to be coming to him to say run, that they should inform their principal, which is the president, that once the president is in charge of the discussions with him, President Goodluck, then he may listen positively to their beggings that he should run. And I believe if that happens, that's why you see why I told you that a lot of them may not resign. Why? Because of the news that now came from Bayelsa yesterday that a card had been procured for President Goodluck from Otoke, because the card that was used to originally purchase those funds was arranged in Abuja by people who, according to him, made those cards, went to buy without doing the full consultation, which he requested when they came to him, that they talk to President Buhari, that Buhari should be the person discussing that with him. So I do not know what it is that he has now seen, for which they have now agreed to yesterday procure a form for, a card for him from Otoke in Bayelsa State. And so these things are moving very fast. I don't want to look at the denials. No, I simply look at what is going on. It is very clear that the president's eye is focused on the old Eastern region. That's why you're seeing the people from both the south.
But how can you be certain, Dr. Ononuju, how can you be certain that the president is actually eyeing giving the ticket, as it is, of the APC to the southeast? How can you be so certain?
I am certain. I am in here in Abuja and I know what goes on. When you see permutations like President Goodluck being dragged in, you should understand what that means. If you see people like Obonayono, if you see people like Emeka Wajuba resigning on the day he bought the form, you should know that those things don't just happen. An Igbo man would not put 100 million on a white goose chase. It's not true. There must be some behind the scene discussion. It was run for profit, and they know what they've been told. So once you see a one on Emeka Wajuba buy form, and then a form procured for Goodluck, you start looking at that geography. This is where it is going to. So I am not surprised. This is what I predicted years ago. And of course, if you look at the national crisis, what everybody says here in Abuja is for us to be able to balance the country in regards to the current agitations from the east, just as it happened to the southwest when President Obasanjo was brought out from prison and then used to doubt the Yoruba quest for Duduwa Republic after the annulment of Abiola's election. After President Obasanjo has done 8 years, Vice President Osinbajo has also done 8 years. So the calculations is to be able now to balance the entire game is to come to the old east, to be able to situate and put off the flame of the current agitation for separatism by the young people. And that's what we've seen, because a lot of those from the east who are buying the forms are not regular people who were foundationally members of the APC, like those from the southwest who linked up with President Buhari's CPC to form the foundational platforms of the APC. But now, as we're having this crisis of insecurity in the country, they have been advised across the country that one of the ways to be able to arrest the current agitations for separation from the east is to field somebody from the east to be able to douse that tension. And that's why you're seeing those movements happening currently in the east.
So, but let's come back to the party level. I mean, if you have those who are not obeying the instruction of the president, despite the fact that the law is very explicit on it, the Electoral Act, Section 84, subsection 12, very explicit on that. And then the president is also re-echoing what the Electoral Act has said. And for those who would not resign, because you've said they're not going to resign, what do you think might be the action of the party? Should the party disqualify them? Should they be considered?
The party wouldn't have to disqualify them. The party will simply consider them as people who did not submit their forms. Don't forget, you can tell the party you're running, but the party will only regard you to be running when you have met their conditions. And their conditions is you will submit their form. They will not accept your form if you did not tender your letter of resignation. This is what the presidential intervention means. If you did not resign, the party will not collect the fully completed funds from you. They will not do that. So anybody you see that's telling you he's submitting his form, you can be sure that is somebody who has resigned. The party is going through, that's why they attach Form 18. If you also don't fill Form 18 for withdrawal, the party will not collect your fully filled form. And if your fully filled form is not accepted by the party, you cannot go to court to say that you are an aspirant who the party knows, and the party, from there, you're just on your own. So I don't see anybody being able to even do anything, because everything that's happening right now, according to the law, is internal. And before you can go outside to a court of law to seek redress, the party's rule advises you to seek all the internal mechanisms for crisis resolution before you go out. So, and I don't see them, because a lot of these people are very afraid of President Buhari. I don't really see that challenge. I don't.
But do you see, I mean, the party acting contrary to this? What if? I'm just saying.
Well, nothing is impossible. But I can tell you, we've already seen where the picture is going to. And because of the development yesterday in Bayelsa, you can be sure that a lot of people who bought form may not resign. Okay? A lot of them who actually bought form will not now progress as aspirants. If it becomes real that President Goodluck will now tell you his conditions have been met, you will see a lot of the activities towards contest in the primary all fizzle out. This is what is going on right now in Abuja.
All right, thank you so much for all of the thoughts that you have shared this morning. Dr. Kach Ononuju, and concerning the Electoral Act, the recent development, the President's intervention, and of course the fate of the ministers. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being part of our show. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take yet another break. We'll come back. We'll still be looking at politics, but from another angle this time around. The People's Democratic Party has actually thrown its presidential party's ticket open. No to zoning implications, consequences. In a moment, we'll be talking about that. Stay with us.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take? I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to 2 things. 1, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the Babin, I pay my rent. On the Babin, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408, or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
This is The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We head straight to our second conversation. Now we look at the People's Democratic Party dumping zoning and throwing ticket open. Ahead of its primaries, Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, has decided to throw open its 2023 presidential ticket to all sections of the country. The party's national secretary disclosed this at the end of the People's Democratic National Executive Council meeting on Wednesday. The decision to throw open the ticket, he said, was in line with the recommendation made by the party's zoning committee. We have Emeka Madunagu, a publisher of Metro's newspaper in Lagos, joining us this morning.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right. Let's share your thoughts on this. I mean, what do you make of a party who has over time respected the principle of zoning? I mean, some people would say that they introduced the politics of zoning into the country. It has been their ideology over time. What do you make of it at a time where there's a clamor for power to shift to the southeast?
Yeah, well, good morning once again. I think PDP is suffering from a lack of sense of history because PDP was the party that ushered Nigeria into the Fourth Republic at the federal level. And I think they ought to have understood by now that all component parts of Nigeria must be fully represented in at all levels of power. So for the PDP to be throwing the contest open is sort of calling for an outright defeat in the 2023 elections. Why do I say so? Out of 6 zones in the country, 4 zones have actually tasted power under the PDP between 1999 and 2015. It launched in with Obasanjo from the southwest for 8 years. Atiku from the northeast was the vice president for 8 years. Then in 2007, you had Yar'Adua from the northwest as the president. And then the vice president was Goodluck Jonathan from the south-south. That was for 2 years, and the Yar'Adua passed on. Then the South-South moved over to the presidency, and the Northwest just rolled over to the vice presidency, and that lasted another 4 years. So I mean, that lasted another 6 years. I'm sorry. So until 2015, when Muhammad Buhari came on board. So of the 6 zones, only the Southeast and the North Central have not tasted power under the PDP. And I think the PDP should be conscious of this fact, because if you now say, okay, you're throwing the contest open, what it means is that you are trying to now deepen the sense of injustice, which actually was one of the things that threw the PDP out of power in 2015. It got so drunk with power that it began to say, okay, it will stay in power for 60 years. It began to use and dump. I mean, some chieftains of the PDP accused it of using people and dumping them. So there must be a sense of justice. There must be a sense of fairness. There must be a sense of belonging in any political party. Politics is a game of interest. It's about the interest of the of all the members. And if there's a clamor within the party, even outside the party, that power should shift to the southeast under the party. I mean, what is preventing the party from actually going that way? What is preventing the party from actually saying, yes, this is what we want to do? You can see from the utterances and body language of the Otom, the committee headed by the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, and, you could see the sleight of hand. They were not really sure of themselves. They didn't know how to present their hidden agenda to the public. So when the story broke that they had recommended that zoning should be jettisoned, they denied it. But what has happened today? The party leadership has said that it took the decision to jettison zoning based on the recommendation of the OTOM committee. And it's unfortunate, OTOM is from the North Central, that it could head a committee of 37 members without bringing in a sense of history, a sense of justice, a sense of fair play into his recommendations. It's unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate. And I think if the APC goes ahead to push a candidate from the South and the PDP gives it to a candidate from the North, I think the PDP is going to have a serious problem in the 2023 presidential
The PDP knows all of this. If it is aware of all those internal, calculations and zones and fairness and all, why would it just want to go ahead and just seemingly shoot itself in the leg, judging by the fact that as it looks right now, the APC is moving towards the South?
You know, the PDP has not really recovered from its near self-annihilation, self-immolation that happened after the 2015 election. I mean, a lot of its chieftains actually betrayed the party in the run-up to the 2015 elections. They dumped the party, and these are the same people now coming back to say they want to pick the party's presidential ticket. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is politics without principle. People like Saraki, Tambuwal, who dumped the party, and they are coming back and trying to make strong claims. I mean, the party should actually ask itself some very salient questions. What do we exist for? Is this a political party of common interest, or is this a cabal, a conclave, an enclave of just some people whose interests we are trying to protect? Atiku Abubakar, who dumped the party too, along with others, is back gunning for the ticket. Why? He should give way for other people. He has run how many times? He should give way for other people. Let the contest be thrown open. I mean, Tambuwal, for instance, dumped the party and is coming back to do what? Saraki dumped the party, enjoyed himself out of the party, and then came back again, now trying to. There should be principle. There should be fair play. There are people who have remained consistent with the party for years, and they have continued to keep the party running. You know, the PDP almost went into extinction, after the 2015 election. But somehow it came back, it bounced back to power. It bounced back to power, but it has not been able to really play the role of an opposition party. So it's lost in the wilderness. It's not the ruling party, it's not the opposition, it's not the leader of the opposition, as it were. So now, the PDP maybe imagines itself still being in control of the levers of power, being the ruling party, still hallucinating about that. Instead of thinking of what are the best strategies for us to get this power back? How do we go about this? How do we ensure inclusiveness? Okay, there is this myth that, okay, if we take a Northerner, well, we'll easily pick votes. Atiku Abubakar said he has 11 million votes. Well, I wonder whether those votes are transferable from one election to the other. But you see, be that as it may, I think the party should be very careful about shooting itself in the foot, because you can't use people and dump them. You can't just leave the door open and you say everybody should contest without taking into consideration certain historical facts concerning your party since 1999. The PDP should really think again about that decision. It claims that it doesn't have time. That was what the OTOM committee said, that there's no time to consider whether it should go for zoning or not. But that's not correct. Because, I mean, if it had all the time in the world up until now to take a decision, how is this suddenly saying that there is no time? INEC has also done some adjustments concerning the primaries. So the PDP should actually go back to the drawing board and ask itself a question. They may say, yes, that zoning is not this or that. Just like, if I remember, Jonathan at the time tried to deny zoning, tried to claim that, there was nothing like zoning, until he was shown where he signed a communique, of the party. where he was number 34. And he was shown that and said, well, you're not the one that signed this thing, that zoning should be considered. Now, the strange thing in the decision of the party's leadership is that it should work towards producing a consensus candidate. That means I can reasonably suspect that the party's leadership is working to an answer, is working towards a predetermined answer. I mean, maybe trying to gift the ticket to, a preferred candidate. But it should be careful that it doesn't head to an implosion, because we have 18 political parties. If you remove the PDP and the APC, there are still 16 political parties. And if any of its popular candidates should walk out of the party and go to another party, it's going to have a problem in the 2023 elections. Nigerians are desirous of a serious, fit, capable, and able president. That's what we want. We don't want people who are tired or who have been unable to put up a serious performance in office to come and waste our time again for another 8 years. The kind of experience we've had in the last 7 years of purposeless leadership. We don't want that anymore. So
okay,
the PDP should put his house in order. Yes.
Let's look at the permutations that you put out. You talked about the fact that if the PDP considers of course they've considered leaving the ticket open, and it happens that a northern candidate emerges, then it might just be your favorite for, the APC. Peradventure they have the tilt towards the southern part. Of course, you have Jonathan now in the race. But do you think that Nigerians actually care at this point in time where the presidency emerges from, whether the south or the north, or they're more concerned about who fixes the country?
Okay. Are you done with your question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Nigerians really care. You see, much as we want purposeful and capable leadership, we also are not closing our eyes or pretending to look away from historical antecedents. We must also realize that the man on the street is politically aware. I mean, social media has actually bridged the communication gap. So things happening around the world, around the country, actually are close to you, just, on your phone. So, and interestingly, in different languages. So the point is this: Nigerians want a capable, fit, and healthy president. Yes. But at the same time, there is no zone in the country that cannot produce a good leader. That is a fact. I must concede that. But if you're working towards a consensus candidate, then you must realize one thing, that it's not just about, we want to win elections. You should be able to get candidates, you should be able to get a candidate, a presidential candidate, whom you will campaign for vigorously. Sell his programs, sell his ideals, sell the programs of the party, sell the manifesto of the candidate, so that you can win power. It's about going out there to win. But if it's just for the purpose of winning, and then you say, okay, you give it to the North, I bet you a lot of people might leave the party. A lot of people might abandon the party and say, okay, fine. What use has PDP really been of anyway? I mean, you still see people defecting from the party, accusing leaders of the party at different levels of injustice, accusing them of selective giving prominence to their cronies. So the PDP must wake up. You cannot wish away zoning in a nation of 200 million people with 6 geopolitical zones. You cannot wish it away. It has become a part of our history. We may say it doesn't matter, but I must tell you something, that these things breed anger, they breed animosity in people. And that's why you see some issues like separatist agitation in some parts of the country. That's why you see, people jumping from one platform to the other. Different expressions of discontent with the way things are being done. So if the North has that mythical voting strength, which some politicians have been pushing. Fine, then deploy it in the favor of the South. It should be a conversation that, okay, please, we need to give it to the South, the Southeast. Let us now look at the possibility that, okay, the North, push it to this. Let's support the Southeast for 8 years, and then another 8 years to go to the North. You see, you dance for me, I dance for you. That's what makes, that's what balances human existence. But if you're just tilting to one side, then you want to ask me what kind of political party that is. I'll tell you, it's not a political party that's serious about inclusiveness. It's not just about winning elections. It's also about inclusiveness. So if, like you said, the different permutations in the different political parties, well, if the APC decides to give it to the North, PDP gives it to the North, what if a dark horse emerges from another party? What if people people just feel that, wait a minute, what is really going on? We're asking for injustices, prevailing injustices to be redressed, and people are still pushing this thing for, all right, we don't care. Well, then they support the candidate from another party, a dark horse.
All right, thank you, Emeka.
Yes.
Thank you, Emeka Madunago. We are completely out of time for this particular discourse. We want to say a very big thank you, to you this morning for all the thoughts that you have shared with us today.
Yes. Thank you very much.
It is our pleasure.
Well, that's the size of our conversation on The Breakfast this morning. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of the show. We return tomorrow. The time is 7 o'clock. But if you missed out on any part of it, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Msiboko. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Justin Akademia. Thanks for being a part of the show. Bye for now.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamode Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God. The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
Good morning, I am Justin Akadonye and this is the news brief on Plus TV Africa. The National Executive Council of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has opted to throw the contest for its presidential ticket open rather than zone 8 to a particular region of the country. The National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Oluwagba, announced the decision while briefing reporters at the party's secretariat in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, after the NEC meeting. He said that the decision was part of the resolutions reached at the end of the 96th PDP NEC meeting, which was well attended by various party leaders. Now, the House of Representatives has amended Section 84, subsection 8A of the Electoral Act 2022 to enable statutory delegates participate in political parties' congresses and conventions. Now, the current Electoral Act prevents statutory delegates from taking part in party primaries. Emmanuel Ehijini completes the report.
The Senate had on Tuesday amended the same section to allow statutory delegates eligible for voting in political parties, congresses, and conventions. The amendment followed the consideration and passage of a bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act No. 13, 2022, and related matters, House Bill 1984. It's as presented by the House Leader, Al Hassan Ado-Doguwa, at an emergency plenary session summoned by the House. According to Doguwa, the amendment will allow statutory delegates, in addition to the delegates elected by various political parties, vote during congresses and conventions to elect candidates for various political offices.
I urge my respected colleagues to move in the same line, on same direction, and it is nothing other than a simple insertion in section 84, 8A, where it involves an inclusion of this phrase that in addition to statutory delegates already prescribed in the constitution of our party.
The Deputy Speaker thanked lawmakers for responding promptly to the emergency plenary session to pass the bill.
The House has determined a number of issues, and I think it will not be too much if it cannot be resolved within a very short period of time for us again, either for the leadership to intervene. If there is no much progress, I pray there will be a very excellent progress moving ahead.
In his reaction, spokesman of the House, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, said the House must be commended for its quick action to correct the mistake.
We have found out that there is a missing link in section 84.8 if left to be as it is. It will defranchise people who ordinarily supposed to be automatic.
He also reacted to the judgment of the appeal court ruling, which set aside the ruling of the High Court that nullified the controversial Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022. Kalu said the spirit and letters of Section 84, subsection 14 are still alive.
For the advancement of democracy, the doctrine of separation of power must not be suffocated. In all, whatever we do must be to preserve our democracy.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has directed all members of the Federal Executive Council running for elective offices to submit their letters of resignation on or before Monday, the 16th of May. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, announced this after the Federal Executive Council meeting. Those affected are Ministers of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, the Niger Delta Minister Godswill Akpabio, Labour and Employment Chris Ngige, Science, Technology and Innovation Obunnayo Onu, and Minister of State for Education Emeka Nwajuba, who have all joined the presidential race of the platform of the All Progressives Congress APC.
Any other member of the Federal Council aspiring either to be president or senator or governor or any elective office must submit a letter of resignation latest by the 16th of May 2022. Mr. President has the right to ask to appoint members of his cabinet reshuffle them, replace them, and to that extent, I think he has right to say those of them that you want, who are serving him, who he has appointed, and they want to run for office, irrespective of circumstances that he, as Mr. President, who has the power of nomination, I think he has the right to ask them to resign.
Now, Mohammed stressed that this mandate excludes the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, because he is an elected member of the cabinet.
He was not appointed, he was elected. So he remains, wishing to contest for elective office. The question was raised, does it affect other appointees? And my position remains the same. As of this moment, this is my mandate. Subsequently, it may affect other, categories of political appointees, but that will be made known.
Now, a support group within the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, mobilized in support for the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. The Progressive Project, TPP, has submitted the VP's expression of interest in nomination forms for the presidential primary election. Now, chairman of the TPP, Senator Kabiru Gaya, and Senator Mohammed Bulkachua, who led the group to the National Secretariat of the APC, submitted the forms to the party's National Organizing Secretary, Sulaiman Argungu. The same group had last week picked the nomination forms for the VP at the International Conference Center. In other news now, the Senate has passed a bill to repeal and reenact the Customs and Excise Management Act of 2004. The passage of the bill followed the consideration of a report by the Committee on Customs, Excise and Tariffs. Now, chairman of the committee, Senator Francis Alimekena, in his presentation, said the bill, among others, seeks to assist the Nigerian Customs Service Administration in driving economic growth and trade facilitation. He added that the bill, when signed into law, would make the NCS a legal entity under the supervision of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, with a board to serve Nigerians and facilitate international trade.
So far, the result of our operations is the huge seizures displayed in the premises today. These items were found to be illegally imported into the country, which contravene Section 46 of SEMA, CAF, C45, Law of Federation of Nigeria, 20004, as amended. Investigation is still ongoing, so I will not tell you more about it until after we finish investigation.
Talking education and strike matters, the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, alongside the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, will be hosting a meeting between the government and ASU, as well as all other registered trade unions in Nigerian universities today. Others to be present at the meeting are identified interest groups and civil societies. Gambari will be chairing the meeting. Meantime, the Joint Campus Committee of the National Association of Nigerian Students, Osun State Chapter, has called on President Muhammad Buhari and ASU leaders to resolve the differences to conserve the education system in the country. Chairman of the union, Comrade Oyelayo Afiz, stated this while addressing a press conference to make the position known on the proposed tuition fee increment by the federal government institutions amid the ongoing strike. He said resolving the 11-week-old strike by ASU should be given priority without further delay.
NAS Osun Aziz is using the solidarity period to implore the federal government to call for another negotiation between the two parties in a bid to put an end to the ongoing ignorance strike. It must be noted that during the period of our session, through press release, called on the Nigerian police to beef up security in Osun State.
Moving away from education matters now, the Lagos State government has ordered the immediate stoppage of approval for construction of buildings above 3 floors in Ebute Metta East and West. Now, this is in a bid to prevent building collapse in the area. Commissioner for Physical Planning and Urban Development in the state, Dr. Idris Alako, revealed that the move followed an audit of buildings in the area. He explained that the low-lying nature of Ebute Metta and its negative impact on some of the buildings, most of which showed serious defect, made it mandatory for the government to apply special measures to save lives and property. The families and relatives of victims of the Abuja-Kaduna bound train attack who are still in captivity have staged a peaceful protest in Kaduna. They have threatened to disrupt train services if they resume before the release of their loved ones. Now, the spokesperson of the Abducted Victims Family Forum, Dr. Abdul Fatai Jimo, said the train services of the Abuja-Kaduna corridor should not resume until all the kidnapped passengers are rescued.
Children are cried every day, with the only question they ask being whether my mommy and daddy coming back. Since this unfortunate attack on the Abuja-Kaduna bound train, we believe the government and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, alongside the security and intelligence chiefs, have been working to rescue our loved ones. We have been given assurances that a positive outcome of these efforts will be apparent soon. We must, however, register our displeasure with the way and manner the Minister of Transportation, Mr. Rotimi Chibuki-Amici, has been handling the tragic event since it occurred. Mr. President also directed the management of Nigerian Railway Corporation to establish a situation group to give a minute-by-minute account of rescue efforts to relatives of kidnapped passengers. Still, 1 week after this presidential directive was issued, NRC has neither contacted the relatives of kidnapped victims nor established any situation group.
They expressed disappointment in the Transport Ministry over the failure to secure the release of the kidnapped train passengers. Also, some of the children and family members of the victims are calling for the sack of the minister.
To release them safely and let them free, and all those in captivity.
I have my 2 parents in captivity. This is the 42nd day in captivity and still counting. We are please appealing to the government to please bring back our loved ones. We have missed them, and some of them are breadwinners in the family. We really need them back. We the families are waiting in anguish, and living without them has not been easy, and it's still not easy, and it's so terrifying.
If you have the rail and people are not safe to ply on the rail, what is the use of the rail? And that's the same thing we have. We have our loved ones, and imagine somebody is thinking of starting the rail again. I mean, it's impossible. We're not going to take it. That's definitely, we are not going to take it.
Now, a large number of Nigerians are still unable to get the NIN SIM linkage to work. They say the process has become cumbersome and frustrating. Now, the government believes linking the National Identification Number NIN to subscribers' phone numbers will enhance identity verification as well as data harmonization and authentication. Now, Plus TV News picked views of picked views of registration centers across the country.
After the expiration of the deadline given for the NIN SIM linkage and airing subscribers banned from making calls for their lines by the National Communication Commission, NIN registration centers across the country continue to witness complaints from subscribers.
I've been coming here for more than 3 years now. The problem is that, number one, they have been checking my name in the system. They say they haven't seen it. And although I have it before, but it got lost, you understand? After our house I'm living collapsed, so I didn't get it again. The phone number, I'm no more using it. Since then, I've been coming for it, for them to enroll me so that I'll capture and that one. They say I can't do it 2 times. Okay, let them bring the old one and print it out for me. They say they can't get it. So they have been posting me, come back, you know. I've been coming back to today, 3 years and now. Spending money on it, on various places. Today I decided to come back again with my wife. My wife have done his own year, but I haven't given her the sleep since then.
First one I did, that was 2010. So I didn't get the sleep. But later 2013, I went back and I did a fresh one. I think that's what I'm still using up to today. It doesn't have any problem. But I've not gotten the plastic one, but we are still using the slip.
At the Alausa Center in Lagos, affected subscribers disclosed that the process of getting the national identification number has been rigorous and frustrating.
I've been on this for the past 2 months. So I first got a number for registration, and I was asked to come back with my BVN information. Now I've gotten the NIN. The address I have was picked from the address I have from my previous BVN, which is not the current address I have on the form I filled now. But getting it now, you have to go through some tedious processes that is so unarranged. You have to get a number, you have to go for validation, all this. I think they need to rearrange how people from the onset. They should arrange where people that is enrolling new, where they should queue. Where people that has already gotten theirs, where they should queue. Where people that are for validation, where they should queue. I think somebody needs to come in here to put these their officers in position to arrange people, because people are just crowded there.
I go through a lot of stress on it, but I have issue on date of birth. That's what I'm here for today. And the way they attend to me is they make it easier for me. They just told me I should go and bring my date of birth and valid ID to come and capturing tomorrow.
No, it's not that stressful. It only took me 2 days and 1 week for it to reboot, as they say.
Registers here refuse to speak to us, claiming they are not authorized to speak with the media. In Imo State, Southeast Nigeria, subscribers accuses NIN registering officials of demanding money from them before registration, among other issues.
I'm going out again. I'll still have to come back here. I was here the last 3 weeks to actually do change of name. So I was thinking I was going to get to that day, but they asked me to come back 3 weeks, and I'm back here again, and they asking me to pay some amount of money to be able to validate it. About 3,000.
I was here because of Glow Line. Because of Glow Line. Last year, I sent the Glow Line, and the thing, they say it's successful. This year again, last week, they started calling me. Testing me that I should come and, that it's invalid. I should come and do it again. So when I went to Glow sent me to this place. But I have seen my number, because where I'm coming from is very far. That is why I feel bad.
I've done my own NIN registration, but I have a problem of names, based on the spelling of the names. So all this wise, I've been going through it. Today, they're supposed to correct it, but actually, the system, I don't know whether their system is right or not. I can't understand. They told me that it didn't reflect in the system. So I don't know what I can do now. That's the issue now.
I just believe that it will work. Like I've asked a lot of questions before I started filling the form that show me that once it is being validated, that it's going to leak to all my line. Because right now I was talking to you, they block all my line. I didn't make call. So that's why I'm here.
I've spent about 1 month now. 1 month? Yes. Just after disclosure.
But have you been able to do it?
No, I've not. I'm still going through to see how they can reopen my line.
What happened? What are they telling you here?
They said that I should go to the supervisor here. Then she has to process it. Then they will open it in the next 3 months. The NIN said they're going to open it, and when they open it, they're going to inform me through SMS message. For the past 1 month, and nothing is done.
Subscribers in Kano State could not hide their frustration, as some say they have abandoned their old mobile line in order to have a smooth registration process.
I came here I've linked my NIN with my MTN SIM card, but still it's not yet to work. So I decided to buy another SIM card for me to continue with another. That's what brought me here today.
Mr. Lawayaya is the regional director of the NIMC Kano. He is aware of the issues and complaints by subscribers, but says it goes beyond just registering at a center.
There are two different things. Providing your NIN to the telecom operators, then telecom operators will verify the NIN through national identification number, and that verification is only done in Abuja. That is our headquarters. They will send the collected NINs from their various clients or customers, as the case may be, to our headquarters in Abuja for verification. After that verification is done, that is only when they can be able to allow you to continue enjoy their services.
It is, however, worrisome that some who succeeded in linking their SIM with NIN are still barred from making calls with their lines. This leaves many doubting the authenticity of the registration.
Now, European Union leaders say that the EU wants to become a bigger player in Asia, which they called a theater of tensions, warning against a China of more and more assertive. After talks in Tokyo, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, European Council President Charles Michel, and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said at the joint press conference that they would continue discussions on how to maximize their partnership to fight against Russia during its invasion of Ukraine in areas such as energy. But Michel and von der Leyen also said that they were aware that regional tensions also existed in Asia, and said the EU wanted to play a bigger role.
Indo-Pacific is a thriving region. It is also a theater of tensions. Take the situation in the East and South China Sea or the constant threat of the DPRK. As we discussed, Prime Minister Kishida Fumio, the European Union wants to take a more active role in the Indo-Pacific. Let me finish, Prime Minister Fumio, by thanking you warmly for the admirable solidarity that Japan showed by diverting some of its LNG supplies to Europe. It was at a crucial time for us, at the height of the European heating season, and we will not forget this. This shows the power and the solidarity of democracies working together. Thank you.
In entertainment news now, Nigeria's hit movie Blood Sisters ranked number 9 on the Netflix top 10 most watched movies for the week of May the 2nd to the 8th this year. Now, the movie, which was released barely a week ago, has garnered positive reviews from movie buffs, propelling the Netflix film the global acclaim. Now, according to the latest Netflix ranking of most watched movies, Blood Sisters has attracted about over 11 million hours of viewing, starring heavyweight actors like Dima Okoje, Nancy Isime, Kate Henshaw-Norton, Deyemi Okonlawo, Uche Jumbo, among others. In sports news now, veteran defender Giorgio Chiellini has confirmed he will leave Juventus at the end of the season. The 37-year-old is third on Juventus' all-time appearances list behind Alessandro Del Piero, and Gianluigi Buffon made the announcement after his side lost 4-2 to Inter Milan Coppa Italia final. Now, Chiellini, who joined Juve in 2004 from Livorno, going on to win 9 league titles and 5 Italian cups during his time in Turin, announced his retirement from international football last month. Well, sports news wraps it for us on the Newsbrief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram pages, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for watching, and stand by for Plus Sports.